Hello humans, it's Kira here. Iaijutsu is a form of martial arts and it responds to sudden attacks and ambushes with quickly drawing the sword and attacking. Not only is this technique utilized in real life, there are also many characters who are incredibly strong with their swords. In today's video, we'll be looking at some of the strongest characters in all of the anime who uses Iaijutsu. Himura Kenshin, also known as Samurai X, is a story of samurais set in the time of around 1878. The protagonist Himura Kenshin has a noticeable X-shaped scar on his face that was also known as Himura Batusei, which is a reflection to his ruthlessness when it comes to his swordsman skills. Batusei is a code name in the anime that reflects a person's great speed in drawing sword and slashing his enemies. Being strong enough to hold such title, Himura Kenshin uses the technique of Hitamitsurugiru, and just like his nickname of Himura Batusei, his greatest skills are all utilized by Iaijutsu technique. The unique part of his technique is not only the utilization of his sword, but also his sheath as well. If his opponent was to dodge his sword, he can quickly use his sheath in order to attack the opponent. This was shown in the battle against Jinei Uro, where he used the sheath to break his elbows. Just like the name of the technique, it uses two incredibly strong attacks, but the only downside to this move is that if the opponent knew the attack beforehand, it would not be effective against them as they can easily dodge the attacks. Realistically, using the sheath multiple times as a weapon can lead it to break easily. But it seems like the creator had this in mind because the sheath of Himura Kenshin is made up of steel to prevent the breakage. A variation of this attack is the Twin Dragon Flash Thunder, where Kenshin would use the sheath of the sword first and then quickly draw his sword. The second technique of Kenshin is the Flying Dragon Flash. This technique does not use the sword but the handle of the sword. Kenshin would use his thumb to flick the sword out of the sheath and hit the enemy with the blunt end of the sword. This technique is the signature move of Kenshin, and it is not an ordinary technique of the Iaijutsu. It seems like a weak skill as it uses the sword's handle. However, in the anime, Irusugi Raijuta is shown getting knocked out with this move. The downside of this attack is that the user has to pick up the sword after throwing it, but opponents do not expect such attacks, so it makes it much more effective. The secret ultimate technique is the Flash of the Heavenly Soaring Dragon and is the strongest move that is introduced in the anime. Unlike other techniques, it does not use a single step but adds a second step that causes acceleration to the forward charge as well as the sword throw. This causes a slight change in the timing of the attack that throws off the opponent, which makes this move almost impossible to avoid or block. In the anime, Himura Kenshin promises to not slash any more opponents and uses a worn-out sword, but with this technique, it causes great damage to the opponent regardless of what sword it is. A man who could destroy anything in his way with one punch, Saitama in One Punch Man faces many villains and protects the citizen of his town with many other heroes. Heroes in this anime is divided in classes S, A, B, and C ranks. S rank heroes are the strongest out of all the heroes. They fight against the strongest villains. Out of the many S rank heroes, the character known for his outstanding Iaijutsu is Atomic Samurai, the fourth strongest of S rank heroes. The name Atomic Samurai has two meanings. Atomic means his incredible strength and explosive fighting style, and Samurai shows his swordsmanship that works together with his strength to make him a great hero. Dark matter thieves invaded Earth, and while destroying many parts of A City, Atomic Samurai student Iain stepped up and challenged Melzargard. Iain faced great challenges, and Atomic Samurai stepped up to protect him and quickly slayed Melzargard. Being a S-rank hero, no one can deny his great swordsmanship and his strength, but behind all that, his Iaijutsu is hidden for a long time and shown later on. He was ordered by the Hero Association to find Garo and to help Atomic Samurai. Him and his Council of Swords Masters headed to find Garo. Council of Swords Masters are made up of 5 great swordsmen: Atomic Samurai, Nichiren, Amaher, Zenbai, and Haragiri. Haragiri specifically was known for his ability to quickly draw his sword. He later turns on the council and eats the monster cell, where he then threatened the council by trying to get the rest to join the monster association as well. He gave the rest of the council 3 seconds to eat the monster cell, but Atomic Samurai laughs at him, which escalates to confrontation, and Haragiri quickly drew his sword right at Atomic Samurai's neck, and despite this, Atomic Samurai was able to quickly counter him by drawing his sword even faster and slices him. Even while Haragiri was a human, his sword drawing was faster than the speed of sound, but Atomic Samurai was able to draw his swords even faster, showing that he's the best swordsman in the anime. In Demon Slayer, an Oni slays the whole family of Tanjiro Kamado, only leaving him and his little sister Nezuko Kamado alive. Believing his sister into a demon, Tanjiro then explores with his sister to find the cure for her in order to turn her back into a human. In order to do so, Tanjiro enters the Demon Slayer corpse in order to find solutions, and along the way finds many friends and allies. One of his closest friends is the yellow-haired boy Zenitsu Agatsuma. Throughout the anime, Zenitsu is a coward who is terrified of the sound of fighting demons and served as the comic relief of the anime. Even though Zenitsu is very scared, in situations where him or his friends are in danger, he never backs down and is willing to fight for his life. Zenitsu, during a fight, he gets too scared to the point where he passes out, and while unconscious, Zenitsu shows his true skills as a swordsman. Zenitsu shows his thunder-breathing first form Thunderclap and Flash. This is done by quickly drawing his sword, moving almost at the speed of light that strikes forcefully that resembles lightning. It strikes in a straight line, and when other people see it, they would think that he did not draw his sword at all because of his speed. While training under his master, he only managed to learn first breathing form, but because he only knew one, his first form was close to perfection and shows immense strength with it. Since he can only use one form, he made many variations in the first form that helps him in different situations. This was shown in Natagumo Mountain arc, where he was facing a spider demon. He was struck with poison that eventually turns the person into a spider, but while unconscious, he showed his will to outdo himself and make his master proud, that made him stand up once again and battle the demon spider. Zenitsu shows his sixfold. This is a variation of the first form, where he uses the Thunderclap and Flash for 6 times very quickly, and in the anime, the spider demon didn't know where Zenitsu was, nor know that he was being slashed at multiple times. In the first season of the anime, Zenitsu left a great impression to the watchers, and there are many excitement for him to show many other great skills. Ongoing anime for more than 24 years now, Luffy's quest to become the Pirate King, One Piece has a character that represents a swordsman in all of the anime. Monkey D. Luffy's first partner, it is none other than Roronoa Zoro and his adventure to surpass Dracula's Mihawk, who is known for the best swordsman in One Piece. He not only uses 2 swords but uses 3 by grabbing one in his mouth, that is known as Santoru style. By using 3 swords, he shows lots of unique moves where each sword harmonizes perfectly with one another, dealing massive damage to anyone in the way. Out of the many destructive moves, there's one particular that stands out above the rest. Shishi Son Son, also known as Lion Song, this is a move where Zoro shows his deep knowledge of swordsmanship using Itoru style, one sword style. Placing a single sheathed sword upright and listening to the breath of his opponent, Zoro rapidly unsheathes, attacks while passing by his foe, and then resheathes his sword. Zoro slashes so fast that even the anime cannot see Zoro's sword unleash. This destructive move's potential is seen when Zoro cuts through Das Bones, who is able to turn his body into steel blades from his devil fruit, Dice fruit. After the 2-year time skip, Zoro redefines his move into Shishi Son Son, that lion song, where this move becomes even faster and more powerful enough to slay through a beast like dragon. Another devastating Iaijutsu style move is the Rashomon, Thin Life Gate. Very similar to Lion Song, he unsheathes his sword and quickly cuts and resheathes his sword. This move was shown when he caught 2 sea train carriages on its way to Annie's lobby. The train he was on and the two seed train carriages were on a collision course when he said one of the most memorable lines in the anime, "The ego of the entropic world can be slashed into pieces and easily cuts through the trains." The looks of the people around Zoro perfectly sums up how powerful this attack was. This move was also shown in the battle against the zombie version of the legendary samurai from Wano country, Ruma, blocking the Gavotte Bond on Avant attack. In this video, we discuss some of the best Iaijutsu style swordsmen in all of the anime. The art form of quickly unsheathing the sword, cleanly cutting up enemies, and then quickly resheathing the sword is one of the best and coolest fighting styles out there. Which of the characters were the best Iaijutsu style fighters?